yesterday, the American Secretary of State spoke against possible postponement of the election. Where do you stand on this?
Well, I think it's postponement is relative. INEC on his own postponed election in 2011 for 1 or 2 weeks to get things right. So, if the voters' cards are not distributed, it's not acceptable to me. It's going to be a magic that INEC is going to succeed in distributing political. Or if an election, in fact, that's a failure. We should be talking about distributing 2-3 weeks ago, minimum. I don't have any illusion that we are going to have a successful voters' card distribution up to the eve of election. He said that to the Marine. It's an abysmal failure. And INEC should accept responsibility. They should stop defending. They should stop grandstanding. A lot of people in my area have not collected their voters' card. They should be courageous enough to publish those voters' cards that are outstanding in all the local government and paste it on national newspaper. Call on the people. It's their body, it's their problem, it's their cross. They have failed 4 years. They are just distributing voters' card. They should just admit that dereliction of duty, and they should just wake up. They should stop defending. They should stop grandstanding. It's not acceptable to me that if a election of this magnitude, by the eve of that election, there will be no movement. We have seen election in the past. Even 2-3 days to election, there will be chaos almost everywhere. People will be rushing. Who goes to collect voters' card at the eve of election? It's not feasible.
I'll come to you.
It's not feasible. And that's where voters' education goes beyond just telling them the process of voting. And I want to add one point. Look at my learned brother from the NBA. He was talking about the what do you call that machine? Card reader. Have you ever seen it? You journalists. Voters they don't know how it looks like. It's in the mind of INEC in Abuja. The voters in Lagos, they don't even know what card reader means. And the election is 2 weeks' time. I mean, it's a total failure. So, and I want to ask from the lawyer, whether how many people attended the workshop? Is it in hundreds or thousands? We should admit there's a shortcoming.
Let's proceed.
There's serious shortcoming on the part of INEC.
Ms. Sigwebike, voter education, there's been a lot that's been said about it. Even the politicians themselves also double as voters because they'll be voting as well. And we have had all sorts of complaints. You know, the president of or the director general rather of the National Human Rights Commission, Professor Chidiodi Kalu, did say that the peace pact that the presidential candidates entered into is of no effect. Just like Mr. Mamadou said, that even the code that was put together some years ago would even be more effective in all of that. One thing that perhaps one of what would have served as deterrent in our electoral system is that when people go against the rules, nothing happens to them. What is the NBA doing to ensure that when people go against the rules, you burn a bus because it belongs to the opposing party, nothing happens to you. You rig a person into office, he becomes governor for 3 years before the electoral tribunal says, no, you rigged it. He walks away, nothing happens to him. Nothing happens to the man who rigged him. What's the NBA doing? Perhaps to ensure that this time if you do anything wrong, you will carry the can.
As you've said quite a lot, and I will start with my Prime Minister. In the beginning I said we're a young democracy, and that each and every one of us is a stakeholder in this election. What is the NBA doing? The NBA is a voice for change. For everything that happens, the current NBA president, Austin Adage, has issued press releases. The lawyer actually is a catalyst for social change. We would would give our own opinion, whether we agree. There's, the point is that there's so many ways to look at things. And the NBA tries to voice out what the average Nigerian is thinking. We try to voice out what the law is saying. We try to voice out what is needed to make the country great. And when we speak through our president on the issue of postponing the election. He had issued a press release saying that it's not acceptable at this late stage of the day to postpone the election simply because we've had ample time and a lot of people had resigned their positions to take office. There's a lot of deadlines that needs to be met, and all these deadlines have been met. So
elections should be held in the Northeast?
Well, that is, that's a very peculiar situation because of what is going on. But let me still continue with what the president said. That the general election should not be postponed, simply because you have all these time frames. And then we go to the issue of, maybe you use the term somebody had been raked into office and nothing happens. Something does happen because you go through the process of going to court and pronouncements are made. We have a lot of challenges because the court is, the docket is congested. We have very few judges to deal with the amount of cases. But NBA, during the national conference, NBA had its own national conference, and we made recommendations. And the report on the national conference talks about having the state courts now having all the way to the Supreme Court, having its own appellate courts. What we have now, you have the state high court, then you jump into the federal, then you have the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court. So if we have a situation where the state courts have all their court system all the way to the Supreme Court or the state, like Supreme Court of Lagos State, Supreme Court of Osun State, Supreme Court of Enugu State or Anambra State, as the case may be, you now have a decongestion of the cases.
Okay.
And you have the Constitutional Court that will deal permanently with election cases.
Materials, yeah.
We in the NBA, a lot of suggestions have been made. We made suggestions like having ad hoc judges. We have a lot of lawyers that can come in and take those election matters so that we'll free up the regular judges to do the regular cases, because the litigants suffer when the judges have to leave their courts to go and do election cases. We've suggested time frames and deadlines within which a case must be dealt with in the tribunal, then the appellate court, then if the case has to go to the Supreme Court. If those things, we start doing them, eventually we will get to where we're going. I keep saying we're a young democracy. Rome was not built in a day. People have to understand that it's a process. We are not yet there. We have to take it in stride. We have to cut ourselves some slack. We've come a long way. Yes, we could be better. We could be better. And we have so many challenges, but that does not mean that we are not making progress. We are making progress, and tomorrow will be better than what we have now.
Okay. It's still 99.3 Nigeria Info. It's election 2015. And our guests are Comrade Akele, Lagos State governorship candidate of the National Conscience Party, Mr. Momodu Kasim, NBA alternate chairman, Voter Education and Mobilization Committee, and Mrs. Party Igwebike, Secretary, Voter Education and Mobilization Committee of the Nigerian Bar Association.